bitching and moaning about the people who really don't serve you in your life. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want? Are you
Yeah.
allowing the negative? Are you allowing that heaviness? Or are
Yeah.
you just being open for like the good stuff to come, whatever
Yeah.
it is? If it's a hard lesson, if it's, there is hard stuff in life. It's not this Instagram beautiful, perfect life is such bullshit.
Right.
It's like, I
Totally.
hate it. It
Yeah.
bothers me because you can still manifest and have a shitty day. You can still manifest with anxiety and ADHD and depression. And you can like, you
Yeah.
can still do everything. You can be a messy mom. Like, fuck, give your fucking kids a goddamn cereal for breakfast or a shake or some
Right.
shit. Who cares?
Right.
Like, let them
They can
fend for
think.
themselves. They're not
Yeah.
going to die. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. But
Yeah.
like getting all those ideals off of us of proving who we
Dogma.
are and yeah, like just be
Mhm.
yourself, man. Who cares? Like,
Right.
There's no rules. You're the queen.
Yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
So, I'm interested in some of the things you're talking about in terms of like things that might be holding you back that are like from your past. Because I listened to your podcast. We should just, enlighten everybody. You have a pretty cool podcast. It's called, what is it called? Oh, The Spiritual Badass. And I was
Yep.
like, oh yes, all right, follow. And you're talking about finding your badassery and mastering your badassery, and you also have guests on, so that's also like cool because they bring in different elements of
Yep.
conversation, which I'm all about conversation. We're all about conversation. So like you were talking about like having things from your past and then your past, like everything connects to you, and how you have to sort of like dig it out, wiggle it free, to work on yourself and to further be open, right? Or awaken. How does that work? Like, what is that?
So
Like, are we stuck
like
to other
Akashic records? So like your Akashic records is like your personal history book, past
Yeah.
lives, however you kind of want to say it. Whether you believe it or not, our souls all have histories. We've all lived millennia, freaking centuries, tons. We've all done shady shit. We've all done good shit. We've all had bad things happen to us. We've all been the person that's doing the bad things. Like, you're not free and clear. We all have persecution. We all have pain. We all have trauma, but we also have good things that we've done. We've been healers and spiritual people and scientists and mathematicians and but some of that stuff just carries on from lifetime to lifetime. Just kind of depends on really what they say. Like what we would equate today, sometimes spirit says is, Reiki today would be what this maybe would have been back then. Or sometimes it's like a curse. I still have witch wounds
Gonna
myself.
say a curse.
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Sounds
but it's like
it.
these karmic bonds and cords and ties, kind of like you were saying with releasing and letting go. It's everybody's version is a little bit different when I work in their records. But it's sometimes we put that on ourselves. We don't want to feel this pain again. So we hold ourselves back from a relationship. If we've had abuse in the past, like we can almost put something on ourselves, like don't ever have a relationship again. Like it's not safe. You're not healthy. It's not okay. So not that it's overbearing and controls your life, but I always like to say that it's like this little piece of us that no matter how much work you do, mindset, therapy, medication, whatever is working or isn't working for you, and it's still there, that's when I like to try to go in and clear or figure it out. Because if it's still lingering, there's something up. You either need to learn something from it, we need to clear it, there needs to be some clarity, or it's almost a recognition like, okay, this has happened in the past and you're still repeating it. So and also I like to make sure I give people actions. Like
Yeah.
you have to be an active part in your healing and mindset and spiritual and manifesting journey. Like I can't just go and clear your shit and you're good. Like you still have to be invested in yourself and in your healing journey and your intuitive journey, everything that you're doing. So spirit always brings that forth. Well, you got to start talking better to yourself, which means you have to have better routines and better self-worth. And I always say I always have the 80-20 rule. 80% of your mind, your body, your soul needs to be in a good, decent place. It's not have to be perfect. And 20% can have that shitty thought, that bad day, that fuck, I hate that lady. Why is she such a bitch? Or a social media blow up or whatever it is. But like, I always like to say it's the 80-20, like 80% of the time, you just got to be in a good place. You got to feel good about yourself. You got to, feel in alignment with what you're doing and putting out into the world with your family, with all the things. And that 20% is like yeah, dude, this day sucks. And
Right.
it's okay. Like, eat a fucking bucket of ice cream. It's fine. Like,
Right.
it's just 20%. It's not your whole life. It's not every day of the week.
Right.
But yeah, going into the past, like really, really trying to understand that part of you. Like, okay, well, I feel this weird connection to this person. And it might be a past life connection, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're meant to like be their soulmate in this lifetime. Just means maybe they're supposed to be in your life. Maybe they're supposed to be a colleague or a friend or somebody, a confidant, something like that. That doesn't necessarily mean you're meant to be lovers or married or all of those things, you know.
Right.
A lot of people put a lot of contention on twin flame and soulmates, and just because you have that connection doesn't necessarily mean that that's who you're supposed to be with, or that you're bound to them, you know what I mean? Because if it's
Yeah.
toxic but you have that
Right.
connection, like why would you allow that to be? Because
Right.
if it's toxic, that's not good, just because it has that feeling, you know. So
Yeah.
there's a lot mixed up in it, but it's
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that, because like I have managed a relationship that, you know, that was a close relationship from my childhood, and it wasn't in I was micromanaging it, and it got to a point where I had to sort of be like, okay, I need to keep this at arm's distance. I need to, you know, I need to change the ways that I step forth into this relationship. I need to protect myself. I need to like, you know, make all these different changes along the way. And then it got to the point where I was like, this is just so toxic. I can no longer be around this person, you know, whether it's a friend or family member. And people are like, what? You're just going to cut this person out of your life? And I'm like, absolutely. And as soon as I did it, it took a while, you know,
yeah,
there were
the
stages
phase
to it.
out.
Yeah, I phased out. COVID helped, you know, a little bit naturally. And, you know, because you don't have to see anybody if you don't want to. So there was a good break there. And I have to tell you, it was almost like this enormous weight just lifted right off of me. And I felt like this, not like to be cheesy, but like, you know, like almost like,
Yeah, Jesus
you know,
moment, like,
yes,
yeah,
like, yeah. And it was like, oh my God, I think I'd been stuck
yeah,
in a cycle with that particular person or that type of relationship. And it may be decades, right? Maybe,
yeah,
well, for sure, decades in this lifetime, but maybe more lifetimes. And it was almost like this giant release, like this unplug, like I told you, like cutting the chain and coming above the surface. And I was like, oh my God, you know, it's crazy. And I did have a little bit of an awakening a couple years ago before everything kind of went crazy. And it wasn't because of anything that happened to me. It was more of another family member, you know, that I was helping and trying to be supportive of, helped enlighten me, you know, because I was like, what's going on? This is different. I don't know what's happening, you know, and it took me down this path. But I still feel like I'm just fumbling all around, you know. It's like, here's a little bit of talk therapy, here's a little bit of energy work, here's a little bit of meditation, you know, like here's some
That's
breath
like
work.
almost 80%. You're doing awesome.
80%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But that's why I was interested in chatting with you, because, you know, there's always a story behind the story. There's might always be like a reason why you kind of, it sounds like that's what happened is, you know, something occurred in your life, or several somethings occurred in your life, and it was over a lifetime that the universe or God or whatever power was trying to just be like ping, 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 and then all of a sudden it was like, well, fuck. We're just throwing everything at her. And, you
yeah.
know, and that's when you kind of are like, okay, what am I doing? You know?
Yep. I mean, and it sucks that it took till 39, but that was the right time. That was when it was supposed to happen, because that was when I was able to enact on it, to put time and energy into it, to really just tell my husband, look, I need to be able to do this stuff. Like, I've dedicated, at the time, how old were the kids? So like 13 and 9 years, 150% to the kids and to my husband, and
Yeah.
work and all the things. And I said, I just need to be able to take some of these classes. Can you just keep the kids quiet? You know, so I did Reiki virtually. I did all my other classes virtually. Reiki was extensive because it was like 8 hours. So that was a long one, but I'm like, look, I just need to be able to do this stuff. And, you know, he was supportive, which not everybody has, but it's kind of like the same thing you're saying, like people can, and I really noticed in that journey that there were some people in my life that I needed to kind of put at arm's length, because I finally started to realize that there was a lot of me giving and there was a lot of me not getting back. So it's a whole process. It's a mind, body, soul type of practice that I went through, but I put a lot of time, money, and energy into it as well. It's not like I just snapped my fingers and that awakening and everything's beautiful and sunshine and roses, dude. I've literally two of my like family members have just died in the last few months. And even as a medium, it hit me hard. So I've had, I don't know, 10 surgeries over the last couple of years. So there's still a lot of stuff happening in my life, but I have a different outlook, and I actually know what happiness is, and boundaries with people and spirits. And it's like being able to learn everything that I didn't really maybe pick up on or wasn't really taught. Like, I love my mom. She worked 3 jobs though when I was young, so she wasn't around a lot, and she died when I was 16. So there was a lot of me figuring shit out for myself. And it's you learn, you figure it out. I put myself to college a couple times. I did all the things, and I just didn't really have anybody to rely on to teach me those things or to understand. Or I grew up Catholic, so it took me a long time to break that programming.
Whoa.
To not wait to be damned to hell, And,
Right.
but I'm closer to God now, not being Catholic, than I ever was my whole
that's interesting
39-ish years as a Catholic person. Even as a small child, I was like, why is some dude telling me what I need to be doing?
Right.
Like how I need to be acting and what I need to repent for my sins, and how many. I hated it. Even as a kid, it made my blood boil. Like, and I used to fight with the priest at church class, like, because one time they're like, you can only believe in God's creation or evolution. I'm like, no, I believe in both. I believe God created it, but evolution takes over. He's like, no, you can't do that. I said, sorry, I'm sitting in the middle. He was so pissed. I thought he was just going to burn the classroom down, but I'm like, and he fought me on, why can't girls be altar boys? Like, they're like, no, because it's only boys. I'm like, fuck this.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
But
why can't they? I know.
Viva la revolution. I think now that they can, but I mean, dude, I'm 43 and it took a lot of years for that to happen,
Do you ever find yourself like going through that whole process, and then the people in your, close circle, kind of like having little fits because you're different?
You're changing.
Yeah, you're changing.
You're not like you used to be.
You're different,
We want the old
I just kind
back.
of the same thing as you. I just kind of arm lengths those people. Like, I'm not asking for opinions. I'm not asking for validation. I'm not asking for judgment. I don't really give a fuck what they think. If they don't like what I'm posting, they don't like what I'm doing, that's their problem. You know what I mean? And I just want to talk to them. Like,
I need some of that confidence, because sometimes it's like, it's hard. I remember years I would go through life. Like I used to have so much anxiety and so much, worry. And then in this place I'm at, like sometimes I get a little anxious, like normal anxious, like I'm getting on an airplane and flying to Michigan. I've been on an airplane in a while, but then you settle. But then, I remember way back in the day, like it would be to the point where I'd be like so worried and so anxious just to go to the grocery store. Or you'd be at a party and like I'd feel really uncomfortable all of a sudden, and then I started I didn't know any of this stuff, but I finally realized, it finally dawned on me that maybe these feelings weren't mine. Maybe I was picking up on someone else's energy, or maybe I was picking up on someone else's vibe, and and then it's like hard not to just completely close yourself off to everybody. And then
it's like paralyzing to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, you're like, at the party, there could have been some seriously awkward stuff going on in the other room or in the basement. And so that was like your intuition, but you didn't know how to handle it. And I think that it's taken us years to, I guess, clear that and release the belief system.
Totally.
But there was nothing wrong with you. There was nothing wrong with us. It was just the divine order. Why did it have to take so long?
I don't know, right? I'm in my 40s too. And it's like, God damn it. It's like,
I know, I feel like I wasted my whole youth.
Me too. I mean, I look back on decades and I'm like, people that I chose to be friends with, decisions I made, things along the line. And my brother finally was like, just you are exactly where you're meant to be.
Yep.
Don't look back, just look forward. And I'm like, yeah, but I could have gotten here a lot faster. Damn it,
Yeah, but you
like,
got to think though, if you weren't really ready back then and you embarked